Однако авторы проекта резолюции попросту проигнорировали позицию России и Китая. Наибольшее разочарование у нас вызывает отказ внести в текст проекта к политико-дипломатическому регулированию конфликта. Причем сделано это было безапелляционно и без каких-либо пояснений, будто мы говорили в пустоту. Считаем такой подход к работе над продуктами Совета Безопасности ООН неконструктивным, безответственным, неприемлемым и неподобающим для ответственного члена Совета. Господин председатель, принятие подобной резолюции не способно привести к достижению мира в регионе Ближнего Востока. Оно лишь усугубит разногласия между ключевыми игроками в регионе. Опасаются, что страны СС АГПЗ в погоне за осуждением Ирана могут перечеркнуть все достижения последнего времени по восстановлению добрососедских отношений с Тегераном, а также на долгие годы отдалить перспективу формирования пространства общей безопасности для всех стран региона. Более того, положительное решение Совета по данному документу может трактоваться недобросовестными игроками и прежде всего теми, кто развязал эту войну, как благословение на продолжение агрессивных действий против Ирана. Призываем всех членов ООН осознать это. Благодарю вас.
I thank the representative of Russia for the statement. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the representative of the United States. Colleagues, as we woke this morning, civilians, families, children were trapped, sheltering in bunkers all over the Middle East. They were wondering if the only thing they could count on today were more missiles and more drones from the Iranian regime. They could not be certain whether they would have the support of the international community. They couldn't be certain if they would have the support of the United Nations Security Council, which frankly in years past has failed to speak out about Iran's consistent and grotesque violations of international law. Well, to the people under the barrage and the constant bombardment of the Iranian regime, the UN Security Council stands with you. 135 countries stand with you. We uniformly condemn Iran's indiscriminate attacks on civilians. Today you've heard and you'll continue to hear lies, as you always have, from the representative from Iran and their friends on the council, this time claiming that all of their strikes have been against U.S. military bases or various types of military installation. But here's the hard truth. Here's what they don't want you to hear. And this is common sense, colleagues. The Fairmont Hotel in Dubai, that's not a military base or installation. That's why dozens and dozens of tourists have fled as it was set on fire. Tourists from the United Kingdom, from Liverpool, from other countries, all trying to vacation there, do business there. The civilian airport in Dubai, a global hub of commerce and tourism, also coming under fire. That's not a military installation. At 90 years old, Bahrain's only oil refinery, that's not a military target. Qatar's natural gas facilities that power the economies of the world, those weren't military targets. Even Oman, who until recently was trying to find a diplomatic solution, it's been hit too. Its ports are not military targets. The cargo ships that are being attacked and set aflame, many of them carrying food and other supplies around the world, one of them from Thailand. Those aren't military targets. So look, these attacks were so brutal and so indiscriminate, as Iran shoots in all directions, that nations that previously had serious disagreements have now joined together. They've now spoken as one voice. Iran's strategy of sowing chaos, of trying to hold their neighbors hostage, trying to shake the resolve of the region, has clearly backfired, and that was shown by this vote today. The Kingdom of Bahrain, itself a victim of these attacks, drafted this resolution, led the negotiations on this resolution. Our allies and partners from across the region, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and the United Arab Emirates supported it, as well as a UN Security Council record number of co-sponsors, 135, and we read every one of them today so that the entire world could hear it. This is exactly what the United Nations should be about. Today's action is a direct and unequivocal statement from the Gulf countries condemning the brutality of the Iranian regime, whose practice of targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure is reprehensible, and the entire world is calling it out for what it is. Iran is indiscriminately attacking innocent families and civilians living in countries spanning Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Cyprus, Azerbaijan, Jordan, Iraq, and Turkey. All have felt the consequences of Iran's missiles, drones, and attacks. This council and the international community must speak plainly and be honest with the world about Iran's long history of undermining international peace and security, and for decades, and we all know this, Iran has supported terrorist violence against civilians around the world, and as we all just saw in recent months, massacred its own people. In order to maintain its iron grip on power, the Iranian regime exported instability abroad, turning neighbors like Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and Gaza into battlegrounds and leaving them no hope of peace or prosperity. Earlier today in this council, I challenge any one of you, anyone in the world, to show me a country that is better off because of Iran's intervention and instability. This is why the UN has voted in resolution after resolution that the Iranian regime must never and can never have a nuclear weapon. And by constantly refusing to comply with international safeguards that all of our countries support, Iran's nuclear program was barreling towards a nuclear disaster. The IAEA made clear that there was no reason to have nearly 1,000 pounds of 60% highly enriched uranium unless you wanted to build a nuclear bomb. And no one in this chamber can be surprised by Iran's promise of death to Israel, death to America, and with nuclear weapons, death to the world. And at an emergency meeting in January, not long ago, we raised the Islamic Republic of Iran's decades-old campaign of repression, subjecting its young and old alike to violence, torture, and censorship. Colleagues, the Iranian regime's abuses are a stain for all who tolerate it, drawn from the blood of their victims. President Trump and his team exhausted every attempt at diplomatic negotiations. He sought peace and to end 47 years of hostility and attacks, while Iran only sought more missiles, more drones, and a pathway to nuclear Armageddon. President Trump has drawn his red line here. Iran crossed it once again, and now the world is facing the consequences. And these consequences that the United States does not bring alone. We are grateful to our partners, Bahrain, who have bravely pushed this resolution forward. We are grateful to the 135 countries that co-sponsored it, and we will never hesitate to hold the Iranian regime to account for its continuing threats to international peace and security. I thank you. I will now resume my duties as Council President. The representative of Bahrain has asked for the floor to make a further statement.
شكرا سيد الرئيس، وعذرا على أخذ الكلمة مرة أخرى. أود أن نعرب عن الأسف لما تضمنه أو لما تضمنته كلمة سعادة المندوب الدائم لروسيا الاتحادية عن دول مجلس التعاون. وأود أن أوضح أن دول مجلس التعاون هي من قامت بالعديد من الوساطات والجهود الدبلوماسية، ولم تكن يوما أراضي تصدر عنها أي اعتداءات، ولم تستخدم ضد أي دول أخرى. وأنا أتحدث إليكم الآن وصفارات الإنذار تدوي في منطقتنا وعلى دولنا. لذلك فالادعاءات الإيرانية يكذبها الواقع، فالضربات لا تزال متوالية وموجهة إلى المواقع المدنية والحيوية وتجاه المدنيين. وشكرا سيد الرئيس.
I thank the representative of Bahrain for the statement. The Council is ready to proceed to the vote on the second draft resolution before it. I now give the floor to those members of the Council who wish to make statements before the vote. I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Господин председатель, мы сегодня уже обозначили неконструктивный характер только что одобренной резолюции с осуждением ударов Ирана по территории стран региона, выдержанный в однобоком ключе, и дополнительное разъяснение представителя Бахрейна нас в обратном не убеждают. Сейчас Российская Федерация призывает членов Совета Безопасности принять беспристрастный документ, направленный на срочную деэскалацию ситуации. Это позволит Совету исполнить свои прямые обязанности по поддержанию международного мира и безопасности. Подготовленный нашей страной проект оставляет за скобками противоречия между членами Совета по вопросу о причинах нынешней беспрецедентной напряженности на Ближнем Востоке. Он носит прямой, простой и недвусмысленный характер и содержит 4 постановляющих пункта. Первый. Призыв ко всем сторонам конфликта немедленно прекратить боевые действия и воздержаться от любых шагов, которые могли бы привести к дальнейшей эскалации в регионе и за его пределами. Второй. Категорическое осуждение любых ударов по мирным жителям и гражданским объектам и привлечение внимания к обязательствам сторон в соответствии с международным правом, включая международное гуманитарное право. Третье. Указание на важность обеспечения безопасности всех без исключения государств региона. Четвертый. Настоятельный призыв ко всем сторонам немедленно вернуться за стол переговоров. Убеждены, что упомянутые элементы в полной мере отражают мнение членов Совета Безопасности в связи с текущими событиями, в том числе озвученные в ходе заседания Совета 8 февраля. При этом при подготовке проекта мы сознательно не стали упоминать ни одну из сторон. Мы прекрасно отдаем себе отчет в том, что такой подход сделал бы невозможным достижение консенсуса и, как следствие, помешал бы скорейшему направлению Советом принципиально важного сигнала о необходимости немедленной деэскалации и сдержанности всех конфликтующих сторон. В ходе работы над проектом Российская Федерация распространила документ под письменные комментарии членов Совета и провела очные неформальные консультации. Отмечаем, что ни одна делегация не озвучила каких-либо возражений или озабоченностей в отношении самого текста. В этом контексте мы рассчитываем, что все коллеги продемонстрируют ответственность и выступят в поддержку российского проекта, который может стать своевременным и крайне необходимым шагом для политико-дипломатического урегулирования ситуации на Ближнем Востоке. Благодарю вас.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement. I shall now put to the vote the draft resolution contained in document S/2026/159 submitted by the Russian Federation. Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2026/159 please raise their hand? Those against? Abstentions? The result of the voting is as follows: 4 votes in favor, 2 votes against, 9 abstentions. The draft resolution has not been adopted, having failed to obtain the required number of votes. I now give the floor to those members of the council who wish to make statements after the vote. I give the floor to the representative of the United Kingdom.
Thank you, President. The United Kingdom's priority is restoring regional stability in the Middle East as soon as possible and preventing this crisis escalating further. Iran's ongoing reckless attacks against countries across the region threaten to expand the conflict. That's why the UK voted in favour of the resolution tabled by Bahrain condemning Iran's attacks against the territories of its neighbours. That text was grounded in the facts and backed by the region, responding directly to the needs of our partners in the Gulf and Jordan. It focused squarely on protecting civilians and restoring regional stability, and we're pleased that this Council was able to send a clear condemnation of Iran's reckless attacks by adopting that resolution. By contrast, this Russian resolution does nothing to address the concerns of those in the region who have faced unprovoked and unjustifiable attacks. And it is impossible to overlook the hypocrisy of Russia presenting itself here as a guardian of international peace and security. It continues to reject Ukraine's proposal for a ceasefire. It attacks Ukraine's civilian infrastructure night after night. With the very same Iranian-designed Shahed drones that are now striking targets across the Middle East and beyond. In return for Iran's support, Russia has provided Iran with advanced military capabilities, increasing the threat that Iran poses to the region. We should be in no doubt where Russia stands in this conflict. So Russia's resolution would have only served to distract this Council from the serious work required to end the conflict. That is why the UK did not support the resolution. Our collective priority must be to secure stability in the region and the protection of civilian life. That's what the UK government has been focusing on and will continue to do alongside our allies, including in this Council. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the United Kingdom for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of France.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, la France n'a pas soutenu le projet de résolution présenté par la Russie sur la situation au Moyen-Orient. Je l'ai dit tout à l'heure en expliquant notre vote sur le projet de résolution déposé par Bahreïn et adopté à une très forte majorité. La France est profondément préoccupée par la prolongation de la guerre au Moyen-Orient. Nous partageons la conviction exprimée par de nombreux membres de ce Conseil que l'escalade militaire n'est pas dans l'intérêt de la région, que le respect du droit international est la condition sine qua non de la stabilité à long terme et que les hostilités doivent cesser au plus vite. Nous appelons également à la préservation des vies civiles et au respect du droit international humanitaire. Monsieur le Président, quoi qu'il se réclame des intentions les plus louables, le projet de texte initié par la Russie ne constituait pas une base viable pour rassembler le Conseil et apporter à cette crise la réponse que les circonstances exigent. Le résultat du vote en témoigne d'ailleurs. En effet, ce projet de résolution ne disait rien de la responsabilité écrasante prise par l'Iran dans l'escalade actuelle, y compris en conduisant des attaques indiscriminées et injustifiées contre ses voisins régionaux qui ne le menaçaient pas. L'intervention de la Fédération de Russie pour justifier son vote sur la résolution 2817 a d'ailleurs marqué une forme de compréhension de ce pays pour les frappes iraniennes. Or, l'Iran fait peser des menaces depuis des années sur son environnement régional et sur la paix et la sécurité internationale. Il le fait à travers le réseau des milices qu'il finance, commande et entraîne dans la région, à travers ses programmes de missiles balistiques et son programme nucléaire dont l'Agence internationale de l'énergie atomique n'est pas en mesure de garantir le caractère pacifique. Et ceci, rappelons-le, dans le contexte de sa négation pure et simple, absolument inacceptable, de l'existence même d'Israël. La stabilité de la région ne pourra être durablement garantie si ces menaces ne sont pas traitées. Monsieur le Président, c'est par la diplomatie et par elle seule que la sécurité et la stabilité de la région pourront être assurées sur le long terme. Pour que la diplomatie puisse prévaloir, il faut que l'Iran entende le message de la résolution 2817, qu'il accepte d'entrer dans des négociations de bonne foi pour aboutir à un encadrement négocié de ses programmes nucléaires et balistiques, ainsi que de ses activités régionales. La France continuera de se mobiliser pour parvenir à une telle solution négociée. Je vous remercie.
I thank the representative of France for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of China.
主席，俄罗斯提出的决议草案重申联合国宪章宗旨和原则，敦促各方立即停止军事行动，谴责所有针对平民和民用设施的袭击，鼓励各方回归外交谈判轨道，内容原则平衡。中方表示欢迎和支持，对决议草案未获通过感到失望和遗憾。这是一场本不应发生的战争，也是一场对各方都没有好处的战争。中东的历史反复告诉世人，武力不是解决问题的方法，兵戎相见只会增添新的仇恨，酝酿新的危机。当务之急是立即停止军事行动，防止战火升级蔓延，尽快重回对话谈判。中方将继续为争取和平做出努力。谢谢主席。
I thank the representative of China for his statement. I give the floor to the representative of Bahrain.
سيد الرئيس، تود مملكة البحرين أن تتقدم بخالص الشكر والتقدير إلى روسيا الاتحادية الصديقة على مبادرتها بتقديم مشروع القرار المتعلق بالتصعيدات الخطيرة في منطقة الشرق الأوسط، وتثمن هذه المبادرة التي تعكس حرص روسيا الاتحادية على الإسهام في تناول التطورات المتسارعة في المنطقة. وفي الوقت الذي تقدر فيه مملكة البحرين هذه الجهود، فقد صوتت بالامتناع عن دعم مشروع القرار المطروح، نظرا لكونه جاء بصيغة عامة لا تعكس بصورة كافية طبيعة التصعيد العسكري الخطير الذي تشهده المنطقة في الآونة الأخيرة نتيجة للاعتداءات الإيرانية غير المبررة والتي تستحق الإدانة، التي طالت بلادي ودول مجلس التعاون لدول الخليج العربية والمملكة الأردنية الهاشمية في انتهاك واضح بمبادئ حسن الجوار واحترام سيادة الدول وخرق جسيم لأحكام القانون الدولي وميثاق الأمم المتحدة. وانطلاقا من مسؤولياتها كدولة معنية بشكل مباشر بتطورات الأوضاع في المنطقة، فقد فضلنا إعطاء الأولوية لمشروع القرار الذي تقدمنا به باسم دول مجلس التعاون لدول الخليج العربي والمملكة الأردنية الهاشمية، والذي يسعى إلى تناول التطورات الراهنة بصورة أكثر تحديدا وواقعية، بما يعكس طبيعة التحديات الأمنية التي تواجهها دول المنطقة. وفي هذا السياق تعول مملكة البحرين على دعم المجتمع الدولي لمشروع للقرار الذي تقدمنا به واعتمده مجلس الأمن، ونعرب عن امتناننا العميق لجميع الدول الأعضاء بالأمم المتحدة مرة أخرى والتي شاركت في رعاية هذا القرار، والتي بلغ عددها 135 دولة، حيث أن هذا الدعم الواسع من المجتمع الدولي يعكس إدراكا جماعيا لخطورة العدوان الإيراني الغاشم الذي تعرضت له مملكة البحرين ودول مجلس التعاون لدول الخليج العربية والمملكة الأردنية الهاشمية خلال 12 يوما الماضية. وشكرا سيد الرئيس.
I thank the representative of Bahrain for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of Denmark.
President, Denmark abstained on the draft resolution presented by Russia today, as Denmark does not consider that the Russian Federation introduced this resolution in good faith. The resolution put forward by the Kingdom of Bahrain represent a genuine effort to respond to the concerns of the region and contribute meaningfully to de-escalation in the Middle East. That resolution, which the Council has just adopted, has a clear operational focus guided by the region, which should be the direction of our collective efforts. We regret that, rather than being guided by the voices of the region, and indeed by the overwhelming support expressed across the wider UN membership, the Russian Federation has instead chosen to table a new text that diverts the Council's attention away from that broad support. It is well known that Iran for years has been destabilizing factor in the region and beyond. Now, the regime in Tehran continues its destructive behavior by attacking countries in the region, including civilians and civilian objects, disrupting maritime security, and threatening regional stability, international peace and security, and the global economy. None of this is reflected in Russia's draft resolution. For this reason, Denmark did not support the resolution presented by Russia today. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Denmark for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of Latvia.
Thank you, President. Latvia voted against the resolution submitted by the Russian Federation for the following reasons. Latvia unequivocally supports the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations recalled in this text, including the prohibition of the use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, as well as the international law, including international humanitarian law, protecting civilians and civilian infrastructure, and we share the deep concern regarding the current escalation of hostilities in the Middle East and beyond. However, we could not support the presented draft, as it was tabled by a permanent member of this Council, which itself is violating daily for years the very principles it now calls upon others to respect. The aggression, use of force against territorial integrity and political independence, continued attacks against civilian infrastructure and civilians carried out by Russia in Ukraine stand in total contradiction to the commitments invoked in this draft. It is cynical and represents hypocrisy of the highest order. Iran is now attacking civilians and civilian infrastructure in the region and beyond with the same weapons it is supplying to Russia to attack civilians in Ukraine. So we agree this is not a resolution submitted in good faith, and despite our agreement with the values and objectives outlined in the text, Latvia was compelled to vote against. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Latvia for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Господин председатель, глубоко разочарованы тем, что сегодня Совету Безопасности не удалось принять столь востребованную резолюцию, сфокусированную на необходимости деэскалации на Ближнем Востоке и возвращения к поиску переговорных решений. Хотели бы выразить признательность тем коллегам, которые выступили за принятие предложенного Россией документа. Считаем, что они повели себя ответственно и принципиально, как и подобает членам Совета Безопасности. Увы, некоторые коллеги так и не нашли в себе сил и мудрости принять единственное верное решение. А ряд из них это сделал целенаправленно. Ведь для них главное шагать в ногу со старшим братом и слушать все его команды. Они только что отклонили возможность направить по линии Совета недвусмысленные требования к немедленному прекращению боевых действий и урегулированию любых споров мирными средствами. Это в очередной раз наглядно показывает, что все громкие заявления этих стран о приверженности международному праву, Уставу ООН и миру не более чем пустой звук. Их позиция определяется сугубо конъюнктурными политическими интересами и блоковой солидарностью, а также боязнью попасть в немилость к старшим товарищам. Более того, из этих соображений они готовы пойти на дальнейший подрыв авторитета Совета Безопасности. Весьма показательно, что ни одна из выступивших против или воздержавшихся делегаций так и не смогла объяснить, чем именно не устроил их подготовленный нами текст. Дежурные заявления наподобие важности сфокусироваться на резолюции, предложенной Бахрейном и странами СС АКПЗ, не выдерживают никакой критики. Российский проект никоим образом не противоречил документу стран региона и не содержал никаких взаимоисключающих по отношению к нему элементов. Поэтому подобные слова – это не более чем нелепая попытка оправдаться за боязнь выступить в поддержку инициативы, сколь бы взвешенной и деполитизированной она ни была, а только потому, что она невыгодна истинным зачинщикам кровавых событий на Ближнем Востоке. Еще более опасно, если за их решением скрываются иные геополитические цели. Ответственность за любые негативные последствия на Земле, которые может повлечь за собой недобросовестность и безответственность некоторых членов Совета, лежит целиком и полностью на них. Это голосование лакмусовая бумажка и, простите за выражение, проверка на вшивость. Нам любопытно, неужели те страны, которые не поддержали эту резолюцию, не понимают, насколько жалко они выглядят? Мы уже говорили, что это даже не двойные стандарты. Это сюрреализм, зазеркалье и театр абсурда. Да и вообще просто позор. Мы теперь будем постоянно напоминать вам об этом, когда в иных ситуациях вы будете выдавать себя за поборников международного права. Вне зависимости от исхода сегодняшнего голосования, Россия продолжит прилагать все возможные усилия для скорейшего прекращения конфронтации на Ближнем Востоке и урегулирования любых противоречий мирными средствами. Будем всячески содействовать странам региона и другим сторонам конфликта. Рассчитываем на аналогичный подход со стороны здравомыслящих и конструктивно настроенных государств-членов.
I thank the representative of Russia for the statement. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the representative of the United States. Colleagues, the Russian Federation knew it did not have the votes to adopt its resolution today, yet it insisted on proceeding to a vote. Once again, Russia is acting here at the Security Council to protect its partner, Iran. We reject Russia's attempt to conflate lawful U.S. actions taken in line with Article 51 of the UN Charter, to conflate those actions with Iran's pattern of bloodshed and brutality to its own people and around the world, and with its recent deliberate and at scale targeting of civilians and civilian infrastructure across the Gulf and the Middle East. The United States will continue to work here at this council and beyond to hold the Iranian regime to account and to bring to light its destabilizing and unlawful actions. Russia's attempts to prevent this council from acting in line with its core principles will not deter us. I thank you, and I resume my function as President of the Council, and I now give the floor to the representative of Iran under Rule 37.
In the name of God, the compassionate and merciful, colleagues, at the outset, I must express our profound regret over the Council's action today. This is a deeply regrettable day for the Security Council and for the international community. Today's adoption is a serious setback to the Council's credibility and leaves a lasting stain on its record. Today's action represents a blatant misuse of the Security Council mandate in pursuit of the political agendas of the certain members. The very state responsible for the brutal war of aggression against my country, the regime of the United States, sits on the other side of this chamber as President of the Council, abusing its position while obstructing every effort to bring an end to this barbaric war against the Iranian people and preventing the Council from fulfilling its charter-based responsibilities. Let me make it clear, this resolution is a manifest injustice against my country, the main victim of a clear act of aggression. It distorts the realities on the ground and deliberately ignores the root causes of the current crisis. The very purpose of this biased and politically motivated text, which was pushed by Israeli regime and the United States, is clear: to reverse the roles and position of victims and aggressors. It rewards the regimes of the United States and Israel, which have violated the UN Charter and committed acts of aggression. In doing so, it established impunity and sent a wrong message to the international community, emboldening the aggressors to commit further crimes. Accordingly, we do not recognize the Council's action today. We consider it unjust and unlawful, inconsistent with the United Nations Charter and international law, and an action that completely disregards the established principles governing determination of acts of aggression and breach of the peace. Make no mistake, today it is Iran, tomorrow it could be any other sovereign state. We thank Russia and China for their constructive efforts. Those members that voted in favor of this resolution, particularly the European members of the Council, including France, United Kingdom, Greece, Denmark, and Latvia, have demonstrated that their repeated claims of defending the UN Charter and the principles of international law are nothing more than empty words and hollow rhetoric. These members lacked even the minimal courage to acknowledge the perpetrators of the aggression, Israel and the United States. While concerning the violation of the Charter and international law and speaking of the international peace and security, by deliberately ignoring the flagrant violation of the most fundamental principles of the UN Charter, the prohibition of the use of force, these members have once again shown that for them, respect for the Charter and international law is selective and subordinate to political agenda. The hypocritical and irresponsible conduct once again demonstrate that political consideration take precedence over their professed commitment to international law and the UN Charter. It is evident that these countries are simply implementing political instruction from Washington rather than exercising independent judgment and decision. Regrettably, some members distorting the reality and facts on the grounds and made a cynical and blatant attempt to blame Iran and accuse and condemn Iran while ignoring the root causes of the current situation, whitewashing the US and Israeli heinous crimes and military aggression, especially the massacre of 170 school girls in Minab, as it was Iran that initiated this war. We categorically and strongly reject all the baseless and politically motivated accusations made by some members against my country, which are entirely devoid of any legal foundation. The aim of this accusation is clear: to distort the reality, deflect the attention of the international community from war crimes and crimes against humanity that have been and are being committed against the people of Iran by the Israeli regime and the United States. But the facts prove otherwise and speak loudly and clearly. Against this backdrop, I now wish to emphasize the following points. First, the root cause of the current situation are clear and simple. On 28 February, the United States and Israel regime launched a military attack against the Islamic Republic of Iran in flagrant violation of Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the United Nations Charter and the preventory norm prohibiting aggression. This is an illegal, illegitimate, and unprovoked war began with the cowardly terrorist assassination of the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, the highest official of the sovereign member state of the United Nations, along with several senior state officials, and resulted in the deaths and injuries of thousands of civilians. This aggression was accompanied by coordinated attacks on both military and civilian infrastructure, including schools, hospitals, residential buildings, sports facilities, public service centers, and relief facilities across the country. These acts constitute grave violation of international law and serious breach of international humanitarian law. Senior officials of the aggressor states, including the President of the United States and criminal Prime Minister of Israel, have publicly acknowledged and justified this attack, thereby openly admitting responsibility for this unlawful act of aggression. Since 28 February, the continued military strike by the United States and the Israeli regime have martyred more than 1,348 civilians, including women and children, more than 17,000 civilians injured, and destroyed or damaged 19,734 civilian sites. These include 16,191 residential homes, 1,617 commercial and service centers, 77 medical and pharmaceutical facilities, 65 schools and educational institutions, 16 Red Cross buildings, and multiple energy infrastructure facilities. The scale and systematic nature of this attack clearly constitute war crimes and crime against humanity. Second, in response to this deliberate and unjustified aggression, the Islamic Republic of Iran has exercised and continues to exercise its inherent right of self-defense in accordance with Article 51 of the United Nations Charter to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. And in light of the failure of the United Nations Security Council to discharge its duty and responsibilities under the Charter of the United Nations, has undertaken necessary and proportionate defensive operation against the bases and facilities of the aggressors in the region. Such action are lawful under international law and have been clearly and repeatedly warned of in advance through various channels and at different levels. Our response is lawful, necessary, and proportionate. Iran targets only the military objective of the aggressors. Our assessment indicates that some of these incidents may have resulted from interception by the United States defense system, which could have diverted from intended military targets. Third, since the beginning of this aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran by the United States and Israeli regime, the aggressors have also used the territories and facilities of certain third states in the region to launch unlawful military attack. Under the fundamental principle of international law, states are prohibited from knowingly allowing their territory to be used directly or indirectly to cause damage to other states. In addition, UN General Assembly Resolution 3314 of 14 December 1974, Article 3F, has clearly categorized and recognized that the action of a state in allowing its territory, which it has placed at the disposal of another state, to be used by that state for perpetrating an act of aggression against the third state as an act of aggression. Furthermore, as a principle of international law emanating from the jus cogens character of the prohibition of aggression, states must undertake all necessary measures to prevent foreign armed forces based in their territory.
Get rid of some evil, very evil people. It should have been done. For 47 years, they've been killing our people. 47 years. 47 years. And I can only say this. They were all prepared. They're very strong. You know, they're going to try and take over the whole Middle East. They were going to knock out Israel. They don't know what the hell hit them, right? They don't know what hit them. They got hit by the American military. They don't know. They say, what the hell is happening? They didn't expect anything like this. To bring down energy costs for American workers and families and businesses like this one, we ended the Green New scam. You know the scam? Greatest scam in American history. Well, maybe the election results of the second election were. I would say what was the greater scam? The Green New scam or the 2020 rigged election? I would say the 2020. I think the election. I think the election, but what difference? But the main thing is, we said, get out and vote. We're going to do it again. And we're going to make it too big to rig. And that's what we did. We got the highest vote in history. We didn't need that big. We made it too big to rig. We terminated the insane electric vehicle mandate where you were mandated. And I like electric cars. I think they're great. I like Elon. I said, Elon, look, not everybody wants an electric car. And I like him, and it's a great product, everything, but they have to have, we ended the mandate. We ended the mandate. Now you can have gasoline, you can have hybrid, you can have whatever the hell you want, you can have electric. They wanted you to buy an electric car by 2030. There's only one problem, you can't charge it. You ever see a charger? You're driving down the road, you're running a little low, and they say, electric charging plant 150 miles up the road. That's a bad feeling. And we massively increased production of American oil, natural gas, and clean, beautiful Kentucky coal. And we're not allowed in the Trump administration, we're not allowed to use the word coal without preceding it with two words, clean, beautiful. We say clean, beautiful coal. And we had Doug Burgum the other day Secretary of the Interior, who's great, and Chris Wright, Secretary of Energy. And they were giving a long speech on coal. And I tried to stop them. I was in the audience. They kept saying, clean, beautiful coal, clean, beautiful coal, clean, beautiful. And after about like 40 times, I said, wait a minute, just say coal. It's too much. It's too much. But it's clean, beautiful coal, and it's back, and it's roaring back. You know, it's interesting. China uses a lot of coal. China's very smart. They use coal. What they don't use much of, if at all, are windmills. So they make all the windmills, and they sell that garbage to us. Round and round it goes, keeps losing money. Every time it goes around, it loses $25. That's a lot, you know. And kills a lot of birds. Kills them all. You know, if you shoot a beautiful bald eagle, they put you in jail for 5 years. Windmills kill them by the thousands. Okay, figure that one out. Last year, I took action to save 74 coal power plants from crushing restrictions and regulations. They were putting them out of business. That would have forced them to shut down, including 4 plants we saved right here in Kentucky, and some of the people that work at those plants are here with us now. It's very powerful, and it is now with modern equipment, clean, beautiful, but it's a very powerful fuel. It's very powerful. And if it wasn't China and some of these other big behemoths would not be using it. They use it because it's powerful, very, very powerful. The wind, you know, you're watching television and you want to watch, and your beautiful wife, our First Lady, says, I'm sorry, darling, you can't watch tonight. The wind has gone down and we have... But I want to watch myself on television. I want to watch myself debate. She says, I'm sorry, darling, we have absolutely no energy. There's no wind tonight. What a scam. That's a pretty big scam. That's one of the top. I say that's a top 5. It's about 5 that are real beauties. I also announced a lease agreement for $1.5 billion of private sector uranium enrichment facility in Paducah. Paducah. And as we take decisive action to stop the threat posed by the terrorist regime in Iran with Operation Epic Fury. Is that a great name? Well, it's only good if you win. You know, you can only do. And we've won. Let me say, we've won. You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over. Oh, we won. But they gave me a list of names at general. Sir, you can pick the name you'd like, sir. I said, the name of what? The name of the attack on Iran, sir. And they gave me like 20 names. And I'm like falling asleep. I didn't like any of them. Then I see Epic Fury. I said, I like that name. I like that name. And my administration, as you know better than anybody, is also working to keep the oil flowing. It's flowing all over. We knocked out. Flowing. It's flowing all over. We knocked out, you know, they want to drop some mines. Very friendly people, mines, so boats blow up. And we knocked out as of, you know, every hour I have to change because they knock them out so fast, I've never seen anything. Think of it. They knocked out 54 ships in 2 days, and they're real ships. In fact, I got angry at my people. I said, are they any good? Yeah, they're warships. I said, why the hell did we kill them? Why didn't we just capture them and use them in our Navy? They said they wouldn't have qualified for that. But I got a little upset with my people. I said, why do we have to knock them? And actually, one of my generals said, sir, it's a lot more fun doing it this way. But we knocked out 58 naval ships. We knocked out their Navy, okay? Let's put it that way. But they also knocked out the mine layers. They call them mine layers. They put mines in the water. Lovely job. Isn't that nice? Blow up ships. And we knocked out 31 of them. And, you know, I was very proud of myself. I said, why did you use the weapon that we use on the drugs that come in? by sea. Do you know that drugs by sea are down 98%? And I said, that's a hell of a weapon. And they said, well, give it a shot. It worked very well. We've knocked out, I think, 28 or 29, all of them, almost all of them. They'll all be gone. By the time I'm finished speaking, they'll be gone. These people work very fast. But I'm pleased to report that earlier today, the International Energy Agency agreed to coordinate the release of a record 400 million barrels of oil from various national petroleum reserves around the world, which will substantially reduce the oil prices as we end this threat to America and this threat to the world. We don't want to leave early, do we? We got to finish the job, right? Over the past 11 days, our military has virtually destroyed Iran. Tough country. Their air force is gone. Totally gone. That took the better part of about 3 hours. They no longer have radar. They don't have anti-aircraft equipment. They don't have anything. Their missiles are down 90%. Their drones are down 85%. We're blowing up the factories where they're made left and right. And frankly, nobody has ever seen anything like it. Nobody's ever seen anything like what you're witnessing now, and that can include the original killing of Soleimani and al-Baghdadi, two of the worst killers in the world that I did, as well as Operation Midnight Hammer, where we totally obliterated Iran's nuclear potential. We obliterated it. They don't have nuclear potential. And then after Midnight Hammer, and then we left, we figured that'll be the end of them for a while. But they started again. That's why we got to finish it, right? We don't want to go back every 2 years. And that's because, there'll be some day when you don't have me as president. You'll have perhaps you'll have a weak, pathetic person like we've had in the past, mostly all. Like Barack Hussein Obama, who signed one of the worst deals ever with Iran, where they were going to give up everything. Remember when he filled up a 757 with billions of dollars of cash and sent it to Iran? Billions. People forget that. That's when I realized the presidency is very powerful. When you could put over $1 billion in an airplane and fly it over and give it to a foreign country that's your enemy. How stupid was that? But that deal, the Iran nuclear deal, gave them the right to have a nuclear weapon as of 3 years ago. If I didn't terminate that deal, I terminated it very quickly. If I didn't terminate that deal, they would have had nuclear weapons, and this world would right now be a different place, much different place. Believe me. And then Biden, he came along. He had no clue. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. But they